What's up everybody, this is Ryan over at Stealth Machine Tools. We're going to introduce to you today our most popular machine, our Nighthawk, our SS3015CP. Probably the biggest thing that stands out between us and our competition would be price per kilowatt, if you wanted to translate it that way. It's really a cost factor. You know, with the machine behind me and its benefits, features, and all the things that come at that cost really make it very entertaining to somebody just getting into business, somebody with a very tight budget. But soon you will see, once you do jump in, that your budget tends to grow because now you're making money, you got revenue, you got money to spend, and you'll see yourself looking very early on for upgrades. You know, fiber lasers in a whole do have a lot less required maintenance versus, say, a CO2 laser. We would train and teach all of those points of inspection at the time of install. Some of the major points would be keeping the tracks clean for the exchange bed, keeping oil into the automatic oiling system that is set on a schedule of time of use, and just really having open ears. You know, we use the term, you know, like laser ears. You just know what the machine's supposed to sound like, know what it's supposed to do. There are bellows that cover all of the linear ways, but it's not a bad thing to pull those back and visually inspect them. Make sure that nothing's breaking down and putting eyes on it. If you do what we consider preventative maintenance, you won't have a breakdown, but staying on top of those points of contact that we train you at install is important. Our machines are capable of traveling up to 2.5 Gs of acceleration, but with that said comes wear and tear on mechanical parts. So we like to look at that and say, hey, we can dial these things back 1.2 to 1.5 Gs of acceleration, get really fast rapids in that 3,000 to 4,000 inch per minute, and still produce parts very efficiently with less maintenance. You know, it's not all about how fast I can go, but how long will my machine last, how efficient can we be with that project, and our ultimate ROI at the end of that project. We want to make money, not spend money with maintenance. We take a different approach because we want less maintenance, more return on investment, more runtime obviously equals all of those things. So on the height cut control, I mean, I believe this is probably one of the most user-friendly systems in this field and quality of laser machine. You have your production tab, you have what we call as a debug tab. So this is really good for our tech support. So if we're on via TeamViewer and we're in another remote location and we need to link into the machine, we can draw a part, we can create a tool, and we can do everything remote without the customer's assistance to check the vitals. Then you come down here, we have our master library of all of our techniques, which are our cutting parameters for each material types. We have a diagnostics tab, so inside of the diagnostics tabs, we have all the different categories like machine, our input outputs, our BCS 100 for our capacitance, which is translated into our plate tracking. The cutting head vitals, the laser machine, our gas, any alarms, water chiller, and then if we have vision like you see up here to see the machine, those are all integrated right in. We have scheduled maintenance. We have a settings parameter, which allows you to increase and decrease feeds and speeds. You know, this machine is set up to run at a specific speed for our material and our daily materials that we throw at it. Historically, on another system, if you don't have the ability to calibrate like that and use a good high quality proportioning valve, you just don't know. It's like having a tire gauge, two tire gauges next to each other, and checking the pressure, and one says 50 and one says 55. In cutting, we're measuring it in bar or MPa, so it's a very detailed, minute measurement. And so if you're 0.8 bar on oxygen, but you need 0.9 or 1.0, that's a big difference. That's the difference between a good cut and a bad cut. And we have the ability to do air, oxygen, or nitrogen on this machine in terms of calibration to make sure that the absolute pressure at the nozzle is perfect. So another really high demand option for these lasers, anything from 3K and above, would be a high pressure air compressor. Now, most of our clients will say, hey, I got a compressor, but really they just have what we consider as an auxiliary compressor, which is going to be shop air, that 125 PSI and below, which the machine does need that kind of pressure to handle all the pneumatics for the zoning when the gantry is in a different zone, dampeners open and close so that the dust collection can come out of that area. But the compressor that we pair with the machine for cutting on high pressure air will run into the 290 to 300 PSI range. That will provide you cutting air and cutting pressures for your carbon steels, your aluminum and stainless. And so that's a really big beneficial add-on in comparison to buying nitrogen. We run those dry at about 90 seconds of use. So if you took 90 seconds of gas depletion out of a K cylinder, you get very little runtime, and so it can be very, very expensive. We've had some customers that would spend excess of $4,000 a week for their machine. We've put a compressor in their shop and they've completely cut that cost out, and they're producing their own air and seeing better results. Typically when there is an issue or a tech support scenario with a client or customer, they will call one of our tech support lines. They will call a direct line to Zach, who's our lead technician. We can either jump on TeamViewer or get on a phone call. We can create a video if there's if something technical that they're trying to work around, maybe not because the machine is faulty, but they're just still learning that process. Typically on a new purchase, we expect anywhere between 60 to 90 days of learning curve. They're not gonna tackle all of their projects in a very short amount of time. And to do our on-site training, to touch on that a little bit, it's tough to take a year's worth of knowledge and cram it into 2 or 3 days. So we like to hone in on some of the basics up front and then continue that support after the fact when they come to those milestones of their business and cutting new parts and learning. We could carry them through those, and pretty soon they're going to be experts all on their own. If you're ever in town and you wanted to stop by and take a look at our Nighthawk machine, we have a 6K here on demo. Just give us a call at 877-455-2737 to schedule a time with myself, Ryan, or my sales manager, Caleb.